Hey guys, I hope you're all doing well. So I'm coming to you with my review on the Urban Decay Distortion eyeshadow palette. This palette is not that new. It came out a couple months ago, but I finally got my hands on it and I wanted to share some things with you. My thoughts, let's go. So if you haven't heard of it, it wasn't that big of a blow up. I don't know if it was a dud or people just didn't like it, didn't buy it, I don't know. But anyway, I was all for it. So what this is a palette of 15 eyeshadows. 15 eyeshadows. You have 10 regular shadows or whatever down at the bottom, but then at the top, these are what are called like shifters. Let me give you the proper term. Yeah, well, they don't call them anything. Oh, transformer hues, just so you know. So I'm actually going to read the back of the box because it's interesting in describing this. Customize your own trippy duotone shadows with this shade morphing palette. Layer the shadows in the top row over any of the other shades and watch them instantly transform into shifty, multi-dimensional hues. We arrange the colors in vertical trios. Use them together or mix and match to create your own combinations. With 10 shades, 9 are new, and 5 transformer hues, you'll never run out of options. Alright, so this palette spoke to me because I love duochrome eyeshadows. I like the idea of they have trios going down. These top shades are really hard to see on camera because they all that light type of color because there's these dual chromey iridescent shades. I do have swatches of all 15, so let's go ahead and get into that. Even on my hand, it's really hard to catch how pretty these are in the light, okay? Really hard. So let's just talk about logistics, get down to the facts of the palette, and I'll tell you my opinions, both good and bad. So the first thing is this palette retails for $48. However, I purchased it when it was 50% off at a Sephora weekly wow, like every week Sephora puts these things on sale. It's not currently on sale now, but it was on sale for $24, so that's when I purchased it because I knew I wanted it and that's when I purchased it. But right now it's retailing for $48. It might go on sale later, I don't know. That is on average, that's about $6 less than a naked palette, and you do get three more shades than you would a naked palette, so just put that into perspective. Yeah, so you have an array of the shapeshifter shades. Again, they're these dual chrome iridescent light shifting shades. You have some metallics, some satin finishes, and you have one matte shade which is blackout, which is their black eyeshadow. So yeah, the quality of these shadows is true Urban Decay quality. I have no issues with any of them. The matte is really smooth. Some of the metallic shades, about 3 of them, do have a bit of a fallout when I'm putting them on, but again, I don't mind fallout because that just doesn't mean the shadow. That could mean my brush. That could mean I'm heavy-handed, which I am. That could mean a lot of things, but I don't have any issues with the quality of this palette. Now, the packaging I think is wonderful. I love this like a broken glass effect, holographic. This is about the same size as maybe a little bit bigger than the After Dark palette, the electric palette, but it's in that family of packaging with this hard plastic packaging. I don't mind it at all. Okay. Anything else I need to say about I got mine from Sephora. Yeah, and it's available on Urban Decay's website as well as Sephora's website, and Ulta if I'm not mistaken. So that's everything that I need to say. So let's talk about what I do like about this palette. First off, the idea of duochromes, I love duochrome shades. Lounge from Urban Decay is one of my favorite duochromes. I do love that shape-shifting, light reflecting, depending on how you're looking at a shade, or the light, depends on what color you see. I think that is just awesome. I think that's really cool. This shade selection in this palette, you have 10 shades and then the 5 shape shifters. These 10 here at the bottom, I appreciate this shade selection. It's not uber exciting to me, like there's no bright bold pink, and it's not that, but it's definitely one that increases creativity. If you're new to my channel, I can appreciate a palette that doesn't have any neutral shade, doesn't have any trends. I can appreciate a palette that's all pops of color, if you will, you know. I can appreciate that because my collection is just so big, and this palette falls into that category of the type of things I like. It does have a matte black, which I'll talk about why that's a good thing, and I have something to add to it a little bit later because we're still on all the good things. It does have a matte black, and yeah, so it has a blue, you got this beautiful, like, bright coppery orange shade, purple, light pink, a burgundy. So it's really, really a nice array of pops of color, yet everyday pops of color, if that makes any sense. The topper shades, I personally think they are beautiful on their own. I still, like, haven't played with every single color combination here and topping them with anything, but I think when they go on top of a shade, they do transform it pretty well. For an example, I'll show you one. Let's go with Hot Box, which is the green. Okay, so this is Hot Box, which is a green, deep green. And then I'll take Shifty, which is a dual chromey green, whatever. I'll show you Shifty by itself. Shifty by itself is right there. Oh, horrible swatch. And then let's top the green with Shifty. It instantly changes into something else. Like, it's still a green, but it's definitely prettier, more vibrant in that duochrome family. So they do work over top of the shades. Now, preference and favorite combinations, I like them over the darker shades than the lighter shades, like the orange and the pink. But that's just a preference. They still work. It's just whatever you like color-wise. Yeah, so they do work. Now, I'm going to go into necessarily not what I don't like, but some critiques of this palette. The black. There is a black in here, and I think the black works really well with underneath of these duochrome shades, because it's just a neutral color, it's straight. It doesn't reflect either way. You understand what I'm saying? And the duochromes definitely, what is the word I'm looking for? Definitely really showcase themselves when you put them over black. However, I feel as though if you're going to put a black in, you should have put one light matte shade. I understand why they didn't, in the sense of all of the Transformer shades are pretty light anyway, but maybe a white, maybe a light cream, not because I need a transition or whatever, but you have that other end of the spectrum when you're creating these duochrome looks. It could just be, I don't know, that just could be my thoughts, and it doesn't make sense at all. Also, with the overall theme of this palette, personally, I would have just taken, even though it's fun and I top shades, like I'm wearing this palette now and I have a Transformer shade like in the middle of the blue and the green, and it works and they're fun and I love the colors. I personally am not a two-step person. Like, I'm not into topping a powder shadow with another shadow to transform it. Like, unless it's like, again, like I have like little, like my e.l.f., what do they call it? My e.l.f. lustrous eyeshadows that have like glitter, and I want a pop of glitter, and I'll top it with that, or topping a cream shadow with a powder shadow for longevity. But to just transform it, I get you have endless possibilities here. However, I'm just, the two-step process, it could just be the laziness in me. I would have preferred just a palette of 15 duochrome shades on their own. Not like 10 and then 5 to top. I just don't feel like doing the work. But it is creative. It is creative. It is fun. They do work. I have no issues with that part, but just the idea of it just being functional. This is another one of those palettes where if you can't look at this palette and be like, I gotta look. Simply because everything that you see is not everything that might transfer to your eye, especially when you're topping them and colors are changing. You have to get creative, and you have to, it's using your imagination and having fun with it. This is one of those palettes. This is not a beginner palette in the sense, I mean, it can be a beginner palette, but it's not a beginner palette in the sense of, I'm gonna buy this palette and do a look in 3 minutes, and you know, without the transition shades, without the, I don't mind it, but just to give that, I like to give that disclosure out there. This is not one of those. Again, it doesn't have any transition shades, any matte crease shades, any of those classic finishing, wrapping a look up type of shades that a lot of people like in their looks. You can get complete looks with any kind of shadows you pick. However, just, you know, for standard and comfort, we have like a crease shade or a transition shade or a brow highlight shade, which those are in there. But that's another thing that you might want to think about. Other than that, I do think it's fun. I like to play with it. I've been coming up with some creative looks. I like the toppers. I want to start using the toppers on other eyeshadows that I have and see how those colors turn out, which would be really cool. But this is definitely a palette you might want to sit down and play with, and you can just play with it for hours trying color combinations, and that would be really, really cool. And you might want to write down what you did, because the possibilities are endless. But these dual chromes up here, these transformer shades, make great highlighters if you're into that, just so you know. Yeah, but that's it. I just wanted to share my thoughts on this palette. If you have any questions, comments, concerns about it, go ahead and leave them down below. I love you all, and I will talk to you guys in the next one. Bye.